Hey chemistry heads, we've got another chemistry at home experiment for you. This one I'm very excited about. We teased it on accident last month. Made it seem like we were going to do it last month. But Melissa threw us a curveball, and now we finally get to do the diaper experiments. So we've got two short experiments today about diapers. And I'm going to do them, like always, following Melissa's instructions. And then after I do this, we will record an episode where she explains some of the chemistry at play here. Now, we've already gone into some of that in the actual How Do Diapers Work kind of episode. But she'll explain, I guess, more in detail what we're actually seeing happen. And it'll be kind of, like we do this normally, where it explains in a short version what happened in the experiment. This is something you can easily do at home. There's a couple of precautions that we'll take that I'll explain as we go, but overall pretty short. So we've got two diapers here. These are just very generic brand diapers, nothing special. Some water with blue food coloring in it, a gallon Ziploc bag, or off-brand Ziploc bag, and some scissors. And so let's get started. So the first experiment we're going to do is just to pour some of this blue water onto a diaper and then cut it open and just look at what's inside. And everything is blue. Obviously it'll be blue because of the water, but we'll get to see what it is that soaks up the water. So let's do this, try not to make a mess. I'm not really sure how much it can take, honestly, but we'll see. I filled that glass all the way up. Not really thinking, I wonder how much can reasonably be absorbed in this. Oh, kind of seems like a lot. I wonder if I should just keep going and see what happens. Okay. Is getting very full here. I'll hold this up before I cut it open. But I want to make sure all of this gets soaked up if possible. Some of it's kind of hanging out in the borders. I'm very happy not to have had to test the limits of diapers in quite this same way with my son. So okay, we poured this entire glass of water in here. Let me just give this a chance to get soaked in. Okay, look at this. Whew. Very, 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 very full. Gosh. Okay, so let's cut it open, see what's going on inside here. Melissa told me that you will want to make sure to wash your hands. I think it's a good rule of thumb anyway, but in this case, after we kind of handle this gel sort of stuff in here, that we will want to definitely wash our hands afterwards. So I will carry that, pass that on to you guys, and follow it myself. Okay. There is a ton of these blue gel-like kind of, it almost looks a little bit like what snow looks like, I guess. Like if you had some snow that had some big flakes or had kind of like refrozen or whatever. Kind of refrozen. Woohoo! Okay. It feels very unusual. Trying to make sure I get this in the angle. Interesting, huh? It's very unusual consistency. I'm sorry, I'm having such a hard time showing this and also making sure it doesn't fall everywhere. I'll get another shot of it as well, but so it's just this kind of snow cone looking stuff that is definitely not a snow cone. So it feels interesting. It still feels wet to some degree, but I'm not seeing any like actual water residue left on my hands at all. So it kind of has that feeling of cold wetness without actually getting my hands wet, which is probably the weirdest thing. And it looks like, because it looks kind of like ice, it makes me think it's going to be colder in my hand, but it's just like room temperature water, or I guess slightly colder than room temperature, but not ice, obviously. So that's very strange. And we've got an entire diaper full of it now. Right here, so. Ugh. Okay, so that's experiment number 1. And wow, that was interesting. Wash my hands, just like Melissa said. Okay, so now for experiment number 2. So we're going to cut away the excess kind of trim of this diaper. So basically, we don't want to open the part that has the absorbent particles and stuff like that in there. We want to just cut off all the excess first. So I'm going to try to do that kind of carefully. And you want to be careful because Melissa warned me that you really don't want to be breathing this stuff in. Once it is absorbed water, that is a lot lower risk because it's really heavy and it gets larger and stuff. But what is in this form, it can be, apparently can get in the air and could potentially be breathed in. And we don't want that to happen. So we do not want to risk that. Okay, so what we're going to do next is put it in this bag, try to prevent the dust from getting in the air. And then we are going to try to find a way to cut it open where we can kind of get some of the stuff out with the dust particles and stuff like that to come out into the bag. That I'm not totally sure the best way to do. I'm going to just kind of cut down the middle. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but I just thought it's going to be kind of hard to get it all out otherwise, because it's not really, I don't think opening it one spot only would help it come out. So I'm going to just cut down the middle. Okay, so now I've cut down the middle. What I'm going to do is kind of through the bag, make sure I got to the right layers and stuff. Okay, I think I did. Yeah, okay. So, what I'm going to try to do is get all that stuff. I hope this isn't fruitless. Yeah, there we go, okay. Shake all the dust to the bottom of the bag. Without getting it into the air. I'm not positive I'm doing this the best way, so just be careful. I think the caution is pretty important. Melissa mentioned in our episode about this that naturally these things absorbing a ton of water is bad for our bodies because our bodies have a lot of water. So I am going to be very careful about washing my hands after this, and I'm trying very hard not to get this in the air. Ooh, just saw a little bit getting here. I'm also having like a little bit of a hard time telling what's padding, like the kind of paper cottony padding in there, and what's the dust. So it's kind of hard. A little bit. Okay, definitely a lot of that's paper. One thing that might help is now that I cut in the middle, I think maybe kind of turning the inside to be out would help. Get that the dust stuff out. I'm very much learning as I go on this, which is always the case to some degree, but. Okay, maybe let's call that good. Especially so I just don't get too crazy. Here's what I'm thinking. So, this tip in the very bottom is very like dusty, sandy kind of stuff. I think I'm gonna cut just the corner of this baggie here to get it into this glass. And that way we're not gonna get all the papery stuff as well. So, I'm gonna try that real quick. You also really don't want to get the powder kind of stuff in your eyes or anything like that, so just keep it away from your body. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, it's relatively safe. So we've got a layer now of this dust stuff in the bottom. Make sure that, yeah, it is not very much, okay? So let's see, what we're gonna do now is pour some water into there and we're just gonna watch it expand. So let's grab some of this. Water. I throw in some green food coloring, because why not? Nice shot. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, interesting. I'm really hoping that's coming through on the camera. At the bottom, it took a little bit for it to happen. It wasn't super fast, but the dust particles started slowly rising and getting bigger, and now all the water is absorbed that I poured in there. Let's pour some more. So it takes a little bit to catch up, it looks like. Okay, so they're kind of swirling around. There's still a lot of water that's not yet absorbed. It's taking some time to kind of catch up. Yeah, it's possible I overdid it. Let's see if we got any. leftovers that could help out. There we go. That's crazy. Yeah, so there's pretty much no free loose water in here anymore. It is a gooey kind of, you can see the actual particles in there now. Kind of look along the top of the glass there. These guys have absorbed all that water, and I think even, all the way to the bottom. So they can absorb a lot. You saw how much dust was in there. It's the very bottom. It was just so little. Okay, just for good measure, let's see this last little bit of water can get absorbed. Yeah, it has no problem doing that. Dang, okay, so diaper experiments. Finally got a chance to do them. If you haven't listened to our episode that just talks about how diapers work and kind of goes in depth on this, definitely check that out. It's just called How Do Diapers Absorb Stuff, I think, something like that. And then today, on today's Chemistry at Home experiment episode, Melissa's going to explain to me what was specifically going on in these two instances, and it's going to be really cool. So even if you don't have a kid, I think this is insanely interesting. And then once you do have a kid someday, if that's in your future, then you're going to be fascinated with diapers already and already know how they work, which I think is probably huge, because as parents, as I've only learned recently, we put our very livelihood in the hands of these little guys right there. 6 to 8 times a day or so. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, for sticking with me, and we'll see you very soon in today's Chemistry at Home podcast episode. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.